Hello, toxic relationship transformation community and group. I'm Brittany Rose Green, the curator of this community, relationship coach and healer, and here just being a guide to helping people find healthy relationships, all forms and fashions, whether that's a relationship with yourself, which is the most important one, and then a relationship with family, friends, and significant others. So last week, I asked the question, what stops you from going all in on letting go? And I was going through the responses and I was like, yeah, letting go tends, the reason why I asked this question in the first place is because letting go tends to be like the number one topic that most people, whenever they start working with me, that is their biggest hurdle. That is the biggest hurdle that they have to face is like, how do I let go of this thing that I know no longer serves me? And what is the pull there, right? Like what is keeping me to this thing and why is it so hard? There's so much shame and sadness and fear that gets lumped into letting go or releasing things that no longer serve us. And so I just kind of wanted to go through some of your answers and provide you with some insight that's helped me whenever I'm trying to let go of things that no longer serve me. Some ways that I've done that, and hopefully this will inspire you and motivate you to finally see yourself as a priority, to put yourself first, above and before all of these things that you know are no longer serving you, that you've grown out of, you are no longer in resonance with, and that maybe this will be one stop to the next evolution, right, of your healing journey, your transformation journey from the inside out. Because relationships, before we get into the thing, relationships are the most powerful place to grow and heal. When we are in relationship, we can do a lot of healing on our own. It's essential that we heal on our own before we invite someone into our space. But when we are with someone else, we are getting triggered by our mirror. The things that we feel insecure about typically get reflected to us in our relationships, whether it's the way that your mom comments on the way that you dress, or the way that your partner, dismisses your ideas or your thoughts, right? Or whatever. So those two examples, one, if you're insecure about the way that you dress, or you don't feel good about the way that you look, or you're not empowered to fully own the way that you decide to show up in the world, well, getting that comment from your mom is just a reflection of the insecurity that you hold. The way that it hits you, the way that it resonates with you, and where you get triggered, it's more about the insecurities that you hold versus what your mom has to say. Who cares? Who cares? Sure, yeah, I like to wear my hair in a bun. And I don't care. You can say whatever you want to say about it, but this is just where it's at today. It's okay. Same thing with your partner. If they dismiss you, if you grew up feeling like you weren't heard, or that people didn't care about what you had to say, and you get dismissed by your partner, well, then again, that's about your insecurity. And that's why you attracted this kind of situation that's mirroring and reflecting the aspects of you that still need healing. Now, this is a very complicated topic. So whenever it's hard for me to have a conversation like this on a live, because I want to make sure that you understand this whole mirroring relationship thing, and why we get so triggered in relationship, right? When we have things to lose, there's a lot more skin in the game, right? We invest a lot more energy, time, resources, thoughts, feelings into another person, another human being, and that's why it can feel so detrimental, especially when we're letting go of a relationship, right? Or we're letting go of a person that no longer serves us. So this conversation today is about helping you identify your worth, your worthiness, why it's important for you to go all in on yourself and let go of the things that no longer serve you. We have to remember the mantra, the things that are meant for us will never pass us by. So if you let go of a relationship that is not meant for you in this moment, but it's meant to be yours, it will come back around to you. It will come back around to you. but you have to let it go first, right? Because the way that it stands at this point in time, it is not serving anybody. Your person's miserable, you're miserable. There's too much like fighting, complaining, pain, emotions, all of the things, and none of it is serving either person in the relationship. So again, if it's meant to be yours, it'll be yours. And clearly the relationship was meant to be yours at a period of time for you to learn aspects of yourself and for you to acknowledge what is important in your life and important to you, and to honor that and to fight for that and to go all in on that, not all in on something that is stopping you from letting go. So some of the questions are, like my question was like, what stops you from going all in, right? And the answers that you guys gave me were like fear, rightfully so, fear of the unknown, fear of what's to come, fear of missing out on some beautiful relationship that you believe it could have been, lack of confidence, right? Not believing that you'll actually be able to attract another human being quite like this, or that you'll be able to attract another relationship, or that there's even a relationship out there for you at all. Lack of discipline or self-discipline, so it's just hard to let go. It gets really comfortable. You just sometimes fall into the patterns and the traps of just being in relationship, and that's way easier than letting go. Not to mention, if you have children or a home together, it's so much harder to unpack that stuff and to break up your family. So to me, that's not even lack of discipline. That's just, strategy in some regard. Uncertainty. So again, not knowing what's going to happen next, not knowing if you're going to make it or survive. Lack of trust. So to me, this goes both ways, both lack of trust in other people, like if I let this go, like, will they actually let me go? Will they stay away? Or do I have to like fight to be let go of? That can be really frustrating. Or even lack of trust in yourself, which is even more important. So if you don't trust yourself to stay away, if you don't trust yourself to hold your own boundaries and to, be away from this person, to start to thrive without this person, that life can be good without this person, well, then that's another thing holding back, right? That lack of trust. We also got manipulation, right? So being manipulated into staying. And to me, that goes deeper. So if you're manipulated into staying with someone, why does someone have that power and control over you? What is it about this relationship, or about you, that you are afraid of, that not allows you to be manipulated, but that allows you to fall for the tricks that are there, right? If you are aware that your partner is a manipulator, then it's actually not that easy to manipulate you. But it is easy to be manipulated if you are afraid, or you don't have a lot of confidence in yourself, or you don't trust yourself to make good choices, right? So then we allow someone else to claim the power over our autonomy, over our personhood. And then guilt and shame, right? Oh my gosh, feeling guilty for leaving someone high and dry, especially so if we were to use the manipulation tactic, a lot, I can't even tell you how so many people, their partners will threaten suicide or whatever, and talk about a strong manipulation tactic. It's manipulative. It makes you feel extremely guilty, because now you're responsible for someone's human life. And who wants to bear that burden? None of us. So that's that's a really strong tactic. And then obviously there's shame, right? Sometimes there's shame about how you allowed yourself to get this far. There's shame about, well, if I leave them, then what will my kids think? What will my family think? I chose this, so I should stick it out. The list is endless, right? There's so many reasons why letting go of someone is so hard. And sometimes even when we let go, why we allow them back into our life, it's typically for these same reasons too, right? We We've built up this expectation for a life that we thought we were going to live. And instead of grieving that life, we keep inviting it back into our awareness, even if it isn't actually the life that we called in the first place. So if we called in a life like we thought we were going to be married and have children, and our husband was going to be loyal and kind and thoughtful, and in the beginning it was like that, but then all of a sudden our husband became a cheater or distrustful or a gambler or like an addict or whatever, and there was no desire to change after multiple attempts to try and change, then letting go of this relationship is in the best interest of you and the other person because of this. The system cannot change if the system continues to operate the way that it does. So when I'm working with my clients, when we talk about a system, every single family is its own solar system, okay? So here's the sun, and there are planets around the sun, okay? So when you are allowing your boundaries, because we have to use the word, I use the word allow a lot, because it is, even though it's a subconscious allowing, right? It's an allowance that happens based off of fear, lack of confidence, lack of self-discipline, uncertainty, lack of trust. It is allowing that happens because of trauma and because of our personal experiences that happened when we were children. It's an allowing that happens because of conditioning, right? So it's not anything that you are doing on purpose. No one would, if you felt like you were in your power, you would never allow someone to railroad you. You would never allow someone to manipulate you. If you had the tools within your tool belt, you would never allow that to happen, right? Like you would fight for yourself. But because our tool belts the tools get thrown away, or we never even got a belt in the first place because of the way we grew up or because of the way we saw relationships growing up, it almost feels like we're inadequate, like we don't have the ability to let these things go in a healthy way or to stop attracting the same types of people over and over again. It almost feels like it's just a part of who we will be. And that is so not true. It's so false. And to get back to my solar system analogy, a solar system, everybody's walking around doing the same dance. And if you are allowing certain dynamics to continue playing out, and I'm talking to you watching this because you're here. If your partner were here, I'd be talking to them. Okay, so that don't feel like this is just one-sided. Every person needs to do their own work. But because you are here, because you've decided to join my community to help you heal relationships and heal the toxicity within your own relationships, it's important for you to know that part of the dynamic is your responsibility. Allowing certain dynamics to continue going on is your responsibility. And if you don't remove yourself from these, if you don't let go, if you don't go no contact, if you don't stop it by whatever means necessary, not death, like don't kill yourself or kill someone else, obviously, that then you have to like that's the only way that the solar system can stop rotating the way that it does. Somebody in the system has to change the system from within. You can't wait for some savior. So like, for example, even getting couples coaching, it works. Of course it works. I wouldn't do it if it didn't work. It works, but it only works if the people within the system are willing to adhere the advice, take the tools, implement them at home, do different things, practice, because that's what you have to do. You have to practice 1 billion times and 1 billion times over. And that is the only way that there's going to be transformation within the home. Because one or both parties are not willing to continue doing things the way that they've been doing them. So every time you let somebody back into your life, every time you just put yourself in the same situation or circumstance, every time you don't uphold your own boundary, these are all the things that are conditioning you to believe that it is impossible for you to let go. But it was all within your power in the first place. Again, trauma plays a huge role. You know, the types of relationships you've been a part of for a very long time and the conditioning around that also plays a huge role in understanding that it's possible for you to choose a different path, that it's possible for you not to continue to be in the same types of relationships over and over again, for you to actually finally let go of the thing that you know is no longer serving you. I mean, these things play a role, but I'm here to tell you that it is not impossible for you to let go well, to hold firm to your decision to let go. And the way to do it is to build up that trust muscle. So do these little micro things to build up your trust muscle for yourself, to build up that integrity for your desires, for what you want, in order to change the trajectory of your relationship life, including the life of the person you're with. So a great example of this is, we'll say like, I've worked with countless couples who were struggling in relationship together. And so after lots of work and not a lot of change, we decided together, you know, me being a part of their system now, we decided together that maybe a separation was important, would be helpful, would give them perspective. And within the couple, that worked really well. I also noticed that whenever I would do that with an individual and just be like, the only thing you haven't tried is to fully like remove yourself from the system. And if you are, again, meant to be, the things that are meant for you cannot pass you up. The things that are meant for you cannot pass you up. They will not pass you up. They will not pass you up. But if they're not working, then you have to do something different. So something as drastic or dramatic as removing yourself completely might be the catalyst that allows your partner or your siblings or your family members or whomever to see you differently, to see your role differently, to see what you brought to their life differently. Problem is, there's like another caveat to this conversation is so convoluted, but letting go is so difficult for a lot of people, and it is for me too at times. But the reason why this can be really hard is that when you do have separation and you are dealing with loneliness and you are dealing with fear or lack of confidence or uncertainty or lack of trust in yourself, then you will allow the person to say, I'm sorry, and come back, even if there was no change on their end. The other person, in order for you to know whether or not someone is actually different, is if they've been putting in the work, the same amount of work. So what are you doing? You are at least in this community. I'm sure you're reading self-help books. You might have even, purchased one of my programs or even had a one-on-one session with me, or at least like a breakthrough call with me, right? Something, right? You are taking in data. You are trying to implement new things. Are they doing the same? Or are you just letting them back because they said, I'm sorry, and there was no action or effort put towards rectifying the reason why your relationship wasn't working out in the first place? Letting go is only hard because of the insecurity that you hold about yourself. It's not necessarily about the other person. It's about you, about what you are afraid of. So get clear about what it is that you're afraid of. If you're afraid about being alone, well, then sit with that feeling of being alone. What would it mean to be alone? What happens if you're alone? Whenever I take my clients through this, it's like the worst case scenario. So what is the worst case scenario if you're alone? Well, I'll die alone and get eaten by cats. Okay. How does it feel? It doesn't feel good. It feels really shitty. All right. How does it feel now? Well, it still feels shitty, but it's getting a little lighter. It actually feels a little ridiculous now because I have a lot of family and a lot of friends, and there's no way I would actually ever be alone. In fact, I actually don't have that much alone time at all because my kids are around all the time. And yeah, it's actually not, that actually probably would never happen. That's what happens when we face these fears. We face them. We don't keep pushing them away and stuffing them. We don't keep saying that like, well, I just don't have the confidence. So let me support everybody else and like prioritize everybody else. I don't have to think about myself. That is not the reason why you are in my community. You're in my community because you're ready to face the truth. You're in my community because you're ready to actually start to heal, to transform from the inside out, to stop having these relationships with people who are hurting you, who are not lifting you up and building you up, and who you are not also lifting up and building up too. When we heal, our partners are supposed to heal. We're supposed to grow together. Divorce is so high because a lot of people grow apart. And it's complicated status is because people grow apart, but they still try to pretend like they're growing together. And it's like, no, you've grown apart and neither of you trust each other anymore. Neither of you are willing to put in the work, or one person's willing to put in the work and the other person is not. And you can't, for some reason, the phrase, you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. I don't know why that came out, but that was like what was going through my head. And it's true. You can't turn somebody into what they are not, right? You can't turn someone into what they are not. And a lot of the reason why letting go is so hard and so painful is because we have this idea of who someone is, and we are not considering the reality of who they actually are. It's our idea of who they are. Why can't we just face the facts? Why are we imposing what we need them to be for us versus needing to be that for ourselves and finding someone who actually is already that? That is how you are going to transform your relationship story, your relationship life. This is the stuff that I teach in my one-on-one courses. This is the stuff that I teach in the Your Emerging Soul course that you can purchase and do on your own. You don't even have to work with me if you don't want to. These are the things, these are the tools that we implement and talk about. It's like you have to learn how to trust yourself. You have to learn that like you are the most important person in this entire equation. If you are satisfied, if you are happy, then no one can tell you shit. You know, you have all of the resources and tools in order to help yourself heal, allow yourself to feel confident in your choices and your decisions, to trust that you're holding boundaries for a reason, to trust yourself when you are letting someone go and allowing someone new in. These are all of the principles that are necessary for healthy relationships. On Instagram, I did probably like a month or two ago, I think it was in May, like the 5 most important ingredients in a relationship. And the 5th thing is self-worth. If we don't believe that we're worthy enough for love, if we don't believe that we're worthy enough for a healthy relationship, if that thought is really hard to consider, then of course it's going to be hard for you to let go. Of course it's going to be hard for you to let go of someone who is not really like worthy of you, who's let go of someone who's really not showing you that they deserve to be in your presence, someone that you feel like you have to beg to be in love with, or who's not putting you first. Of course it's going to be hard to let them go if you don't feel worthy enough for love. That's why you chose them. They are mirroring back, again, this whole mirror thing. If you are just hopping on now, the beginning of this, we talked about relationships as a mirror. And that whole mirror experience of a relationship where you are being mirrored your internal belief systems, your internal thoughts and feelings, it's being mirrored back to you. Well, of course, if you don't feel worthy of love, of course you're going to attract somebody who doesn't show you love, who doesn't put you first, who doesn't choose you, who does everything to go out of their way to like make you feel bad about yourself. And truth be told, they feel the same way about themselves, which is why they're doing it to you. It's this vicious cycle. So the way we have to let go is like we have to empower ourselves to start to trust ourselves, to trust our choices. And for me, I am a faithful person. I trust in a power that's higher than myself. You can call it universe, you can call it Jesus, you can call it Buddha, you can call it whatever. God is there and listening and waiting and watching and like hoping that you will just allow her to hold space for you as you start to wrestle with the idea of like, okay, I don't want to be codependent anymore. Okay, I actually know that I'm worthy of love. I just don't know what that looks like. Please show me, give me examples of what that look like. Give me some role models so that I can see what's possible for me. Expand me beyond my awareness of what I think is possible. Help heal my heart where it's hard for me to let go of this person. Help me choose myself. Help me have the confidence to choose myself for once. Okay, that's what this is all about. That's what this transformation journey is all about. And it's a road. It's a road, and it's windy and it's curvy, but my goodness, you're going to find people coming all over the road with you, and they'll come a part of your journey for a little bit, and then they'll go away, and then somebody new will come. And I'm all about magnetizing my allies to me, asking God for mentors and helpers and support teams and just connections and friendships, anything that's going to allow me to be on this path of healing that's deeply personal to me, but also allows me to know that I'm not alone. And that's what this community is all about. So I just wanted to share, that I hear you guys, that letting go is hard. It's probably one of the biggest things that my clients struggle with. And it's because of all the expectations that we place on, what it is to be with someone, like our idea of what the relationship was supposed to be versus what we're actually seeing. And that amnesia, right? That amnesia that we get where we don't want to see the reality that's in front of us, which is like, it's just not working out. It's not working. How long have you tried it? It's not working out. And if it still feels like that, well then y'all, pick up the phone, schedule a free breakthrough call with me, and we can kind of talk about this journey together. See what it looks like, see what it feels like, and guide you in a direction that helps you have more clarity, more peace, and possibly even go on a deeper journey. All right. Let me know what you think, if you have any questions or thoughts. Hopefully, my intention was that you would actually feel motivated by this conversation, that you would feel connected to what I'm saying. Maybe a light bulb or two will go off. That'd be great. And thank you for being a part of this community.